Welcome to Holy Toast. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Pastor Scott. And today we have our friend back with us again, Pastor Darrin. Pastor Darrin, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
So I've kind of saved up a library of a few clips. Some of them are pretty wild. So I thought we'd watch them and then maybe just see what happens and have a conversation about them.
Sweet.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
That sounds good.
And most leaders don't have a safe place to say, I'm tired. He's managing it well because you're watching.
Take this table and just hold it over your head right here in the center. We often do not have a clue what our leaders are having to hold. Over time,
There's a place in every leader where fatigue gets real. And most leaders don't have a safe place to say, I'm tired. They don't have a safe place to say, my arms are heavy. A little bit higher, Courtney. He's managing it well because you're watching. He doesn't want to let you down, so he keeps up the facade even while he's fatigued. Can I talk to a couple leaders that know what it's like to just keep your hands extended when you really want to pass out? When the truth of the matter is, the help is already in the room. But what do you do when your errands and your hers are more comfortable receiving than they are extending?
That's for real. He's speaking real right there.
Yeah, I mean, amen.
Yeah.
Next video.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you wait for me to have something bad to say about that one.
No, I don't have anything.
No, I don't. I do like, again, when we talk about what's different now, I think that the chances that they take wouldn't have been something somebody would have done 30 years ago. A real life example, that way, giving people a real life example, something physical and tangible they can understand. And I do think in an era where pastors are celebrities and the other, that it's good to humanize it. And I actually believe that a lot of that is an offshoot of the fact that carrying celebrity is a lot heavier than people thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Pastors are worldwide social media figures in ways they weren't a generation ago. And I think that it gives, but it also takes away. And I think that when we watch what's happening with people, with guys stepping away from ministry seemingly at their peak, moral failures, I think it's all an offshoot of that. Some of these things that we're carrying, we weren't designed to carry those things.
Yeah.
And being able to speak about that without judgment, I applaud that congregation for not tuning out on that conversation.
Yeah, man. I'm reading a book. Don't have time to dissect it here, but I'm reading a book, small church book, but he actually goes into the history of how quickly celebrity has come to everyday people. And when you think about it, you said you don't think we're designed to take on that. I mean, it's been the last 150 years, from the advent of the television. If you think about it in times past, the only people that, everybody knew who they were, like royalty, they were, on coins and statues and stuff like that. And then when you had TV and radio, that invented the celebrity. Before that, you didn't really have the celebrity. And then now it's taken even a step further with social media, where there's a lot, everyday people can become kind of a celebrity overnight. And we, for most of human history, we weren't made for that. We weren't.
And you have a category of people now that, people used to become famous because they did something. But now famous is a job description. The job is just to be famous.
Yeah.
Right? The celebrity with nothing backing it up.
Yeah.
If you were an athlete, you became famous because your team won or you were very good. But now we have a whole section of people, they're just famous. And they're defined by their outreach and how many people they can reach. And I think as that happens to pastors, there's some real world consequences for that.
But Darrin, and before we go on real quick, I just want to speak to I don't even think it's like even being famous. I mean, I've learned over the last several years to embrace small church and
Yeah.
not trying to be the big church or the celebrity or whatever, but you still see burnout,
Yeah.
within small church pastors. And I don't think this is the only issue, but the comfort level would be, are we able to be real and authentic, or do we feel like we have to hold up a facade? I
agree with
I
that.
hinted in, I think, at the beginning of the last episode of my struggle with, I love pastors, but I feel like I relate a lot of times with other people in ministry, just because I feel like we have to hold up this facade, and I want authentic. Other people want authentic, but at the same time, I think, again, whole other episode to talk about this stuff. But I think there's real fears of pastors being able to be who they are and
It's legitimate.
be real people.
I agree. It is legitimate. I remember, I always loved reading about how honest Paul would be about his struggles. Say things like how he despaired of his life. Like, I was like, I'm so glad he put that in there.
Yeah.
Right? Same guy that writes Romans 8 is like, Jesus, take me now. Thank you for saying that, right? Because it just isn't that much different. You might not carry it in front of millions of people, but you carry it. It's like lifting weights. The 315 pounds is 315 pounds whether people are watching it or not.
Yeah.
It's weight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
Well, I'm glad that one spoke to y'all. That's cool.
Yep.
That's a good analogy.